Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast.
Tomorrow is opening day.
This morning, didn't have a great hunt. Deer didn't move like usual.
We just got set up in the middle of this bedding thicket. We've been saving this spot from the rut. I think it's a nice buck.
Hits a 170.
That was money. I think he's down right over there, 10 yards.
Whitetail Legacy Podcast, bringing you back to the hunt and leaving a legacy. Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast, coming into your ear hole on a Wednesday. That's right. We hope you're listening to this on a Wednesday.
Yeah, I wonder what people do listen on Friday. They're like, what are they talking about? It's Friday.
Right? Like,
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, about 11:20 on a Wednesday.
Yeah, that's when it hits.
That's like
real
prime
good.
rib on
Prime.
one side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prime, yeah. And then
It's
like
good.
bush light on the other.
Nope, I opened this one up because we're pretty loose on this one.
Yeah, real loose.
I feel good opening it
You
up.
can't be tight with him on.
No.
It's just impossible.
No, I mean,
He's too solid of a dude. We had too much fun with him at ATA to be like professional and legit, right?
the best thing he's got is wow.
Yeah, I mean
that-
this guy.
It's a one move.
This guy has the best bow review on the internet. Hopefully, we can tag a link. I'm putting on my tech guy.
Yep, we
The
can do
link
that.
will be on the description of this episode, and you guys probably should pause this, watch the link, then come back because it's gonna completely change the way you look at this guy's reviews. He's gonna go completely next level on you.
Should absolutely do exactly what Cody said.
Let's get into the partners that make this possible. We're going to start with the VIP Veteran Broadhead. By this time, they probably have the mouth diaphragms out.
Oh,
Think so?
I do.
Yeah, I think
I
so.
do think so.
We're recording this a little bit early, so
Maybe a little bit. I got faith though.
yeah, I got faith too. So
A lot of people.
really excited
Coming
about
through.
that. Great price point. Red, white, and blue. I'm gonna have a red, white, and blue calling in a red, white, and blue with a red, white, and blue broadhead. I mean, it's gonna be so American. The only thing I'm worried about, I'm glad turkeys can't hear because the national anthem is gonna be so loud out of my turkey vest. I don't even know what I'm gonna do.
Do not even know.
You got the VIP Veteran Broadhead pulled up?
I
Shout
do.
out.
I do. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Hit it.
This week's VIP Veteran Broadhead shoutout is Gilbert Carr, and he started in the Marine Corps in September of 2007. Said he loved the Marine Corps, but the bullshit outweighed its political dog and the pony shows. Gilbert, we can't appreciate your honesty enough, and we thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you, Gilbert, from VIP family, Matt and Cindy, and everybody at the Whitetail Legacy Podcast crew, which is me and Homie and 6 of our fake interns in the back. All right.
Send some emails, damn it!
Yeah, turn the heat up in this place. Yeah. Scentlock. Let's cover the beanies. No one knows the drama that the beanie has created.
All right.
So
go ahead with the beanies.
So when you shoot a giant deer and your ears are cold and your hair is on fleek and
All right.
Someone's trying to hold that back from the glory.
Oh, really?
They let you borrow the beanie and then accidentally ends up at your house forever. I can't control that.
All right. Do I?
Yeah, you get a rebuttal.
I get a full
I
send.
don't know
Okay.
how you're going to rebuttal that.
Yeah, I'm full send right here. So, say you bought a beanie, and then you're partnered with this company, and then, you probably witnessed the biggest deer shot that you're probably ever going to see shot in your life, and then you notice this guy doesn't have like the full get up. So you lend him a piece of your garment for the trophy shot, and then you don't get, you just gave it away and that's it.
You handed it to me? I thought it was a gift. Like,
oh, like, hey, you just shot this.
Hey, you just shot this deer. Here's a gift. That's what I thought. I took it.
Oh, well.
There's only like 5 people laughing right now that know what's going on.
I know.
But anyways, just so you know, Scentlock beanies are legit. Warm. Excellent. Did you buy an orange one? Because I need an orange one. Shout out Matt from Last Breath.
I gifted. That was sick. I gifted my gray beanie.
Yeah.
And then I got a black one, so I bought 2. So
you would
they are very good.
Yeah.
I bought 2 of them.
Did you?
Yeah.
Who'd you give? You didn't give me another beanie?
No, I gifted you the gray one, and I took my own black one.
I never bought one, so.
I know. I know. Do you want to wear the one that you got now?
Yeah, I'm going to keep wearing the gray one, yeah.
All right, okay. So
we're moving on. Get a Scentlock beanie.
Yeah, Scentlock beanies, legit.
That's the message. ECW calls.
the guys right now are just dying.
Yeah.
They paused it.
Yeah. ECW calls. What are we going to cover there? What do you want to cover?
You guys, they're at River's Edge.
Yeah.
In Canton.
He redid the grunt tube, too. He remade the grunt tube this year.
Where'd you see that
at? At the.
Oh my! You see.
He redesigned the whole entire grunt tube at.
Well, see, because Kurt come up to me and he's like, "Hey, blow into this," and I was like, "Okay." So I blew into it. I was like, "Sounds like ECW grunt tube. Sounds like the one I got." It's just a little more like finesse, and then you put the polyurethane finish on it. So I was like, "Okay, maybe we're getting the finish into question."
Yeah.
But I blew it and.
Yeah. Sounded like a grunt tube.
Yeah,
he bought one, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He walked away with that.
Yeah.
The same one I put my mouth on. Not to call
Solid.
him out,
He's trying to check it out, bro. Make sure it worked.
Right?
Yeah. He redid the grunt tube this year. And we'll save the other one for the next episode.
Whatever you want to do.
With the kids. We'll save that.
Oh, yeah.
We forgot about that. Ingram's Outdoor Obsession. Mr. Freeze is done. I'm calling it. I'm calling it. He's done, and I'm going to release in 4 days.
So we release on Wednesday.
So Saturday.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call. It's a good call.
I'm going to release pics on Saturday of Mr. Freeze's mount.
And then I'll probably have to wait about...
And then the video will come out in 9 months. No.
I'll probably have to wait about 5 weeks to release my mount, and then probably another 3 weeks after that to release my 17-buck.
Mm-hmm. We're releasing 18 before 17. It's going to be really messed up.
Yeah, well...
Because everybody want to see the 18s.
I know, yeah. I mean, who wants to see...
No one wants to see the 17s.
Everybody forgot. Everybody's drooling over Mr. Freeze.
Everybody forgot about the 17s.
Yeah, you done messed up when you shot Mr. Freeze.
The 2 giants we shot with a bow, doesn't even matter.
Done. No,
don't matter. So, all right, guys. Outdoor product review.
It's a joke.
No, the reviews are good, but the guy's a joke.
Yes.
No, seriously, guys. Super honest reviews. They're not biased at all by any company. They're made by a active duty hero of this nation. We go into that. So we can't thank him enough for his service, and we hope you guys enjoy the show.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, calling in is Jason. Jason, what was your last name?
Balazs.
Jason Balazs. He thinks he's got big things going on, doing outdoor product reviews. New bows is not his thing, and neither is mule deer hunting. Calling in from the great state of Colorado, probably blazing right now, Jason Balazs.
How's it going, guys?
How's it going, man?
Oh, it's been an eventful day, even more so since this call began.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna burn down the house, literally. So
yeah, we had electrical fire in my studio almost right before we did this. So this was almost a no-go. We
Yeah,
didn't have to get the
yeah,
fire
it was
extinguisher out, but homie, he was Smokey the Bear over
Yeah,
there.
you're right. I was like, dude, something is on
Yeah.
fire.
He's sitting there, his little nose is up in the air going, man, I think I smell something burning. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard that numerous times, but let's go ahead.
All right, just for the listeners, we got to meet you and hang out with you at ATA. What a blast that was. We just laughed and had a hell of a time, man. We were just sitting at the booth, and yeah, I mean, you made the trip super awesome for us to get to meet you and just experience the friendship for a couple days down there.
Oh yeah, dude, it was a lot of fun. I know that talking to Matt, going back to how it all sort of happened. I've known Matt for a long time, and he was telling me about you guys. He's like, man, you got to listen to this podcast. So I listened, and I was just cracking up listening to you. And I figured, once we get down there, when I met you guys, it was just like, peas in the pod. We're just not, one joke after another right on top of each other. And it was a good time. A little quick thing is that, so I was listening to your podcast the other day, and those boys that were they had the, 30 packs of beer. And I was like, man, if we were there, they wouldn't have any beer left.
No, we put a hurting on it for sure.
Yeah, well, that Tacticam booth.
I know. Shout out Tacticam coming in stat.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, I smell it. Let's go. And here we go, walking back to the VIP booth with 3 beers in the hands.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah. So
I will say that was when we did the most damage at the booth.
Yeah.
We started finding our groove there, getting rid of some broadheads.
Oh, we were. Matt was sick and he had to go away, and little do I know that he was actually putting us in charge. And I'm like, well, that's a bad decision. But
it turned out all right.
Yeah.
we ended up selling the heck out of some broadheads for him.
Yeah.
So it was good. I know he was very appreciative.
Nice.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of good laughs, and look forward to doing it again next year.
Yeah, we're excited. We hope to bring some more hilarious people to meet you. And you run Outdoor Product Review on YouTube, and you have a website also, right?
Yeah, so I run outdoorproductreview.com. And of course, I started way back in the day writing for Colorado Fishing and Hunting News, and then was picked up by a company called bowhunting.net, which was one of the first bow hunting, like the largest bow hunting website, that and bow site at the time. And they picked me up as a review person to, start doing reviews. So, and I never really, I used to just write for the companies because, that's just sort of what I did. And got picked up by this company and really started getting into doing the reviews. And, I don't know, it was maybe 2008 or so. I started, I'm like, gosh, if we put these on video, I guarantee you probably have a lot more people, watch it. And YouTube was just sort of new around that time. And so I had some camera with the tape in it, not the big VHS ones like back in the 80s or whatever, but I had it with the little mini tapes, and I got some kind of video card, and I was able to figure out how to edit it a little bit. I started doing them on video, and then of course, it's all excelled since then to where I'm at now.
Nice, man. How did you upload those to YouTube? Put them in your computer and then get them on a SD card?
Yeah, well, so what you did is I put it on my computer, and it would go from I don't even know the terminology. My wife's got a degree in mass communication; she knows all that. But it would go from basically from the analog to the digital format. And then I could edit it, and then I would upload. So I'd start like my upload, and then I'd like go to work, I'd go to sleep, and then I'd go to work the next day, and then it'd finally be done.
Nice.
and and then it would be done. And then I started seeing, it took a lot of people asked me. Matter of fact, I'm sure you guys saw on my page Facebook post yesterday. Somebody asked me how someone gets into it, and I'm like, yeah, it takes a lot of years. I mean, this isn't just something that you get into. I've been doing reviews. I review everything, but my big go-to every year is my yearly bow review that I do. And that's where all the manufacturers send me the bows, and I shoot them with the same arrow, with the same rest, at the same draw length, the same poundage, everything. I set them all up here so that there's no like, oh, this is the best bow because one, it's a cool name or whatever the case is. I just shoot them all through the same chronograph and everything. And then I give you my thoughts of what, my feelings are on how the bow shoots. And I've been doing this quite a long time. I've worked, I've been in the military forever. So I've been all over the place, and I've worked in a lot of archery shops, and, I was able to work at one shop and give some good product, lessons on how to shoot a bow. And I've just really gone, along with that with my reviews. If I know what really feels good, there's certain things some people like in a bow, some things that people don't like in a bow. And it's all different for every person. And especially if you're left-handed, then you're just screwed. I just had to throw that
call
out
me
there.
out.
But no, with in all seriousness, it's like, I just give a no bullshit review of the bow. I'm not paid by anybody to do this. There's some companies whose bows you'll never see in my review because the answer I've gotten is, we have our pro staff review them. And I'm thinking, well, if you have your pro staff review them, then where is the unbiased opinion into that actual portion of the bow? And that's really one of the reasons why I started Outdoor Product Review, was because I was given a crossbow from a company. I couldn't get it drawn back. I had another guy, big Marine. We're sitting there trying to get this crossbow drawn back, and I couldn't figure it out. I had it on video. I sent the video to the company. I said, hey, what are we doing? He says, oh, you look like you're doing it right, but you must be doing it wrong. And I'm going, okay, can I send you the crossbow back? Because I've had, as you guys have seen, I think you've seen, I had a bow explode on me.
That's the best review I've ever seen.
Yes.
That was the best one. It's the wow.
Yeah, I think we'll share the link on the post for people to really get to know you just off that one review.
Yeah.
Was
Was
that the quickest review you've done also?
Yeah, I would have to say it would probably be the quickest one. Yeah. And and I'd actually originally cut that tape, just that take portion, so that I could send it to the manufacturer. Because if I have a bow that something's defective, number one, I still had the adrenaline high when I was editing it, like, holy crap, about hit my face on hell. But I did that to send a manufacturer, because if a company sends me something and something breaks or something goes wrong or it doesn't look, it's not working, I'll contact the manufacturer, because, we're all human. I understand there can be, flaws that they don't know about in certain pass their QA or whatever. And, I had that video for gosh, I don't know, 5-6 years, and no one had really addressed the problem with me. They're like, oh, it happens. And I was like, okay. And they said, don't share that review. And I'm like, yeah, well, I want people to know. I didn't mention the name. Of course, after that cut, after I said wow, the infamous wow that we've all lived up to be, is the fact that I said that bow gets a 0.
Yeah, that's a 0.
Just calm as shit.
Yeah,
I was. I have that, like, you watch some of my reviews and I'm all like business on them. I'm trying to give it straightforward, and I probably should put some of my humor into them, because I am a pretty funny guy.
I think you should put your humor into them.
And I talk about, I go through this aspect. I give some tips a lot too. I don't even know where I was going with this, but the fact is that, like, shooting the bow and hand placement and things along those lines. And I was going back to the fact that one guy had asked me how you do it. And I was like, you have to spend a lot of time in the industry, and you have to make your name well known, and you have to, have data or content behind you, really. I started just reviewing stuff I had sitting in my archery box, which was just a bunch of old rests and crap that Lord knows whatever. So, so anyway, so I started doing reviews with that, and it's taken off pretty good. It's done pretty well.
How many reviews or products do you think you did before you really got a good groove and a good feel of how you wanted to do it? Oh
man, I would say as far as like writing writing wasn't hard because, you know, no one's actually watching you do it. You're sort of following a flow of how you're writing it out, talking about all the aspects, especially on a bow, for instance. You know, you have data there where you can research a little bit about it, but yet after you've used it, you still are able to formulate it and come back to it in a Word document or whatever the case is. But as far as video, I would have to say probably about 30 bows in, I finally got to where, oh, okay, you know, I've got this now. I'm able to flow through my video. Some of the earlier bow reviews on tape, you know, actual tape,
Right.
where, you know, I would have to redo the whole tape again for a review, and then it would take me 4 to 6 hours just to edit one portion of my review to be able to make something that was like, okay, this is you know, I can follow this. Because I was just sort of all over the place, and I really didn't have a set path or a script aspect of how I wanted to go about it. I was trying to follow the word format, like as if you were reading it, but I found that wasn't very, like, you know, very good in the flow as far as how your flow goes throughout doing a review. So that's when I sort of stopped. I talked to a couple people in the industry, and matter of fact, one guy who works for God, I can't even remember. He used to work for Parker Bows, which long before they went out of business, and he moved to another place. His name's Paul Vaconis, and he sat down and he talked to me on the phone one day, and he's like, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing this?" And I was like, "You know, that's a good idea." And this is a guy in Parker. I never got a bow from Parker ever. And one of the biggest problems is that their owner, or the general manager, he's a bank guy. So he doesn't know anything about like archery industry and how you actually help promote the products across the ways. And he had talked to me, though. He gave me some tips and tricks, and I sort of ran with it on a dry run on a couple of videos. And my editing went from 4 to 6 hours per review down to 25 minutes. And I'm like, oh, that makes a little bit of sense, you know. And now, you know, of course, here that was, I can't even remember what year that would have been, but I guess I'd say at least 7-8 years ago. And now I'm streamlined. I know exactly what I want to talk about. I know all the bows. That's the one thing, is that I have knowledge of every single bow. I can look at a bow and say, that's that bow, even if it was just a shadow of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's important, like you're saying, to have like some street cred, right? Because if someone's doing a review and you've been doing it for, you know, 10 plus years now, you have some street cred to actually be like, okay, this guy knows, you know, he shot 300 bows. He knows what he's looking for. And like, if I did a bow review, you know, it might be like, I might be able to lay it out flawlessly, but I should have near the cred that you have. You know what I mean? So I get what you're saying. Street cred is important with gear. You got to be able to trust the guy.
Well, and that's the key thing. And that was, I think, one of the reasons why I started writing reviews is, you know, I was that classic watching the Nashville Network every Sunday, waiting for the hunting shows to come on, you know, the Jackie Bushmans and the Real Tree and all these things. And, you know, followed that whole mantra. And, you know, these guys were like, you need to go buy one of these. And these is the best thing. And so, you know, and so I'm like, all right, man, I'm gonna go buy one of these. I'd save up money, you know, go buy whatever in the hell they were trying to sell that you could get at the store, just to find out it was a big piece of shit. and I'm like, man, but they said this thing was great. I must be doing something wrong. And then I smartened up, if you will. I mean, I'm not that young kid anymore. I'm freaking old as dirt. But you know, I went to the fact of understanding of, you know, how the industry works. Because at the time I wasn't in the industry. I was taking for, you know, their word. And that's the thing, is these television hosts, I've learned throughout. I mean, I've been in the outdoor industry. I was the first person to ever do archery bow reviews on YouTube. And I've been in the industry. I've gone to ATA shows for 12 years now. And I see it's whoever has the biggest checkbook, that celebrity, or those people that are, you know, that's one of the reasons why the Outdoor Channel is really just floundering. I mean, you don't see the massive amount of subscribers on there. I mean, you have Mossy Oak giving away a free streaming service because they're losing viewership, because you'll see one couple or one hunting celebrity shooting one bow one year or have this best camo pattern and stuff, and then the next year they're shooting a different bow or a different camo, and it's all because they're getting paid more from this other people, not that they believe in the product. And that's not true for all of the people in the industry, but I've seen it now over over an amount of time where that is actually true. And the great thing is, like the guys you had on the your last episode, is these guys, that's what we want. That's what a hunter wants to watch, is an actual hunter hunting animals, fair chase, on their own land. They've put in all the legwork, and they're not having, some guide or I mean, sure, you can have a hunt in Alaska where you have a guide or whatever the case is, but they're not following that genre of the, wow, we're getting into, we just found these elk. No, those elk had been found for, 6 months while the guy's been camping next to the herd, and he's got one basically tied up for you.
Yeah, that's their guys' bread and butter is the whitetails. They have done, paid and went on trips, and they always try to go and do, I think, at least one trip a year just to bring different and new content to their show. But them guys are legit and don't get a lot of credit that they definitely deserve.
Oh yeah, and you'll see that in the industries, wherever we were going with it. I'm sure we're going on 10,000 tantrums here, and I don't want to keep everybody off script aspect, but that's
there is
one
no
thing.
Script.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
I burn it.
Electrical
fire.
That's right. You set it next to the heater, right?
Yeah.
So and that's one thing too that gets frustrating with my aspect of being in the industry, of going to these ATA shows, where for press it used to be free. It used to be where I could just register for the ATA show, and I had my website and my credentials from that aspect, and I got a free press badge. And it turned into all these people who, this outdoor channel phenomenon of, a guy gets a hot wife and she wants to start bow hunting, and they go to the show and they're starting to try to get sponsorship from these companies. And as you guys know, being at the show, there's the main reason that those manufacturers are there is to actually sell their products to the pro shops, and do, to do business, to be able to further their product. Of course, also with the celebrity aspect, but they got to where their media managers and their marketing managers were so overwhelmed and just burdened with people trying to seek money, because, a lot of folks think, well, man, I get a television show, I'll be rich. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not going to be rich. Yeah, I mean, will you have
Start
all the
a
hunting
podcast
stuff you
to
ever
be loaded.
That's right. I could start a review site, and I'll never have to work a day again in my life. No. I've been playing that uphill for whatever. I mean, and I never, and the key thing is, I'm not doing this for any kind of money. I do have sponsors, but basically what they cover is I go out to Colorado or up in the high country hunting elk every single year, and running web services and new equipment, that type of stuff. I don't make $50,000 per sponsorship because I'm a big name, whatever. I get just enough to make ends meet for what I like to do, which is just provide no bullshit reviews for people so that they see what they're going to buy. Now, a company, I'll tell them, I'm going to be honest, and you can always tell in my bow reviews if I like a bow a lot, or if I'm like, yeah, well, there's good points and there's bad points. And the big thing is that as a manufacturer, I think a lot of them like the honesty of my review, because they're not, I'm not saying that this is the best thing since sliced bread and pockets on jeans. I'm saying, hey, here are the good points. However, here's the bad points. You know, it feels like it wants to rip my arm out of its socket because there's no valley. It's like pulling back an 18-wheeler, but yet I'm only pulling 70 pounds where I could pull an 85-pound bow no problem. You know, I mean, just simple things like that. And if like, people who have watched my reviews, I got about 10,000 people on YouTube that are sponsored, that are subscribed to my channel, and I've had a lot of them for a long time. And you know, a lot of those guys, they're like, hey, I like just the no bull crap that you put out there. And so, you know, you're not like, oh, you know, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread or pockets on jeans or whatever. So, but yeah. Are we whispering in my ear?
Yeah, no. I was trying to tell homie something.
There's a lot going on behind the scenes
not on
here.
the record.
Yeah. All right.
We got the heater turned off. It's super cold in here, man.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what you always say. You're like, sorry, dear, it's cold in here, but
Yeah.
it's all good.
We're trying to get all these people in the back office of Whitetail Legacy to do something.
Yeah.
That's right.
The
Yeah.
interns in the back of the garage where there's no heat. They're not.
That's right.
They're not sending out the emails fast enough.
All right. Tell them to rub their hands together, get some friction heat going. Come on.
Yeah. But if I was a company, you know, I would want somebody to give me, you know, unbiased information. That way, going forward, you know what you need to improve on, whether it's one product, whether it's a specific deal, you know. So the unbiased is a big point for me.
Yeah, well, and that's one of, like, I've known Matt since there was a company that started back in, I can't even remember what year it was. It's maybe 05, 06, and it was before Facebook even became popular. It was back in the MySpace days, and this company was called LiveHunt.com, which is no longer even running, but it was just like Facebook. I mean, it had great intentions, great ideas, and they actually contacted me to be their like, you know, product expert, if you will, on the site for, you know, sort of like the pro staff talking points and stuff. And that's how I actually met Matt, and, you know, with VIP. And at the time, Matt lived in Texas. I was stationed in Texas, and, you know, we just sort of hit it off, of course, both being military and, or prior military in his case and stuff. And, you know, he has relied on my opinion on things that he has ideas for that he'll send to me, and I'll call him and I'll be like, Matt, listen, you know, no. Yeah. And you know how his brain works, right?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, it's like going 10 trillion times
Oh,
a second,
yeah.
and he's already got an idea in there. And I'll straight up tell him, I'm like, yeah, no, not feasible. And that's one of the things with the veteran. He was, you know, let me do my shout out for the veteran. And he had called me, and I flew out to Texas, and he says, look, I got this broadhead. I only want to send you pictures of it. I want you to check it out. I want your honest opinion. You know, I was like, all right, Matt, you know, hey, I'll put in a couple days of leave. I'll fly out. We'll see what this thing's all about. And I got out there, and he picks me up in his truck, and we drive down to the ranch, and he's telling me all about it. And he has one there, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, yeah, that's sort of a good idea. It's sort of a neat, gave me a little familiarity back to an older broadhead I used to shoot that was not mechanical. And you know, he didn't have any of the fancy coloring or the anodizing on it. And matter of fact, I don't even know if the tip was Trocar at the time yet. And he says, I want you to shoot some hogs with it. And this is like May time frame. And I said, okay, yeah, we'll shoot it. You know, no problem. I didn't even shoot one out of my bow before I went to shoot a hog, because hogs are like, you know, like hogs in Texas. They're everywhere. And so I'm sitting and I have that filmed, as a matter of fact. I'm sure you guys probably got sick of watching the video at the ATA show of it on the thing. But I'm sitting up there self-filming, and this boar comes in. He's not a very big boar. It comes in, and I drew back, and I was taking footage. I was trying to do some footage of the actual the broadhead and stuff, looking at it with the camera, and I had the little Tacticam facing back to me, and I drew back, and I punched that boar. Perfect card shot. Went through it. It went through, actually hit his hog log, and it broke the arrow in half. But the only thing that stopped it was the hog log. But that boar took off, and I mean, blood was just shooting 7 ways of Sunday out of this thing. And right then, I was like, I mean, you see the excitement on my face. I'm like, holy crap! I called Matt. I text him. It's like 5 p.m. Still, plenty of hunting time. I'm like, dude, you need to get over here right now. I just shot this boar. You're not going to believe it. And so I was sort of sold from that point on, man. And I told him, I said, Matt, you need to have this thing in the frickin' stores this fall. And that was sort of like, and we've talked about it. It sort of was like, okay, I've talked to you. And when you said this needs to be in the stores, that's when he really like launched the whole thing to get this puppy going forward. And I think that was a big play. And I'm glad that a company like Veteran Innovative Products and other stuff will actually take the opinion of somebody that does this and go forward with it. And that's the best broadhead on the market. I mean, I'm sure you guys, there's no bias involved with it, because I would have told him it's a piece of crap if I shot it and it didn't shoot like anything.
Yeah.
And he knows that. And when I was like, hey, yeah, this thing needs to be in the store right now. And I went forward with it. And I think that was just a great thing.
Yeah, exciting times, man. A lot of exciting stuff going on with VIP right now. Also, we're gonna do some of that in the intro, though. But
okay.
You've been hitting a lot. I want to get into your military service a little bit. Something we like to do here at Whitetail Legacy is shout out veterans and active duty. So, just give us a rundown of your military service.
Well, let's see. Well, I've been in for. I'm still active duty. I've been in for 29 years. I spent 23 years as an enlisted person, as a combat corpsman with the Marine Corps, deployed Desert Storm, Somalia, Iraq, Afghanistan, a couple other places. And, I loved it. I was getting ready to retire at my 20-year mark, and I just wasn't done having fun. And so I looked in the commissioning route, and I was able to, being in the medical field as a corpsman, which I have to shout out to Homie, because he did a VIP shout out to a hospital corpsman a few weeks ago, and he said hospital corpse man. But that's all cool, because that's what I thought it was when I joined too.
The velvet light was getting to me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, your Zimas were hitting you hard. Anyway, so I was a hospital corpsman or a Fleet Marine Force corpsman for so long, and I just wasn't done. And I was in the medical field, and I looked into getting a commission. At the time, I was the 3rd Marine Regiment's senior enlisted leader. I was in charge of 5,000 Marines and 323 sailors. And, as far as their medical aspect for the regimental aid station. And I was like, I talked to my wife, and I'm like, shoot, we should, what do you want to do? The market was sort of crap. I had 2 degrees already, one in wildlife management and one in environmental studies. And we talked about looking into commissions. So I did a nurse corps program in the Navy, where they send you to nursing school. And I was lucky enough to get picked up for it. Went back home to Colorado State, and Colorado State University, where I graduated with a nursing degree. And then my whole plan after that was I'm going to go the anesthesia route. I want to be doing anesthesia as a nurse anesthetist is what they're called. And some of this big, like fighting back and forth, in which I don't get involved with, but in the national civilian level, as they're now moving towards they're calling them certified registered nurse anesthesiologist. And then the anesthesiologist doctors are getting mad, and it's a big back and forth. I don't really care. I'm in the military. We all get along great. It doesn't matter if you're an anesthesiologist or a nurse anesthetist. And so Navy is paying for my doctorate in nurse anesthesia. So still doing that, just doing anesthesia every day. Still loving, get to put in I get to work on the Marines still, get to work on everybody basically. And it's just a good time. It still allows me to carry out my, brotherhood with a lot of the folks and a lot of the guys that I'm with. are all, prior enlisted too. So we all get along really well. And then it's sort of how we were at the show. We're all picking on each other, making jokes and having fun. But when it comes down to business, we're the most serious that we could possibly be to be able to move forward and provide outstanding patient care. And that's what it's all about. But I've had a lot of good times in the military. It's done so much for me to be able to, put me through all this education. I used to tell people I was so poor I couldn't pay attention as a kid. and it's true. I had no desire to go to college. I was like, nope, I don't want to do that. I just spent 12 years in school. Well, I've got now going on my fourth, as a doctorate now, fourth degree. And, I found that by going to school and stuff, it's actually furthered my professional ability, even with my website, being able to talk to companies and make things go along that way as well. And so I'm here until they make me either go home or they put me in a sandbox and say I'm not allowed to play with anything. But
the rubber room.
That's what we call it there too, or take you out to pasture.
Yeah.
Although my wife is okay. When's enough? And I'm like, it's not done yet. I'm still having fun. So, so it's been quite a long time. And, it's great the one thing, and I'm sure you guys have heard this, it's like, I have friends that were in Desert Storm with me that I'm still like best friends with. I haven't seen them in 15 years, but if we hooked up next week and did like a camping trip or just met up somewhere, it'd be like we just left off. Yeah. And, that's one of my buddies that was in Somalia with me way back in 93. I mean, him and I, we hunt elk together. About 3 years ago was the first time that we finally found each other. It was like, hey, and he came out and he wanted to go hunting elk and I took him out. And, I mean, as many times he lives out in Pennsylvania, as many times he'd come out and hunt, he will every year. But it's like day 2 after we got back from Somalia. We still rag on each other. We have a great time. He's like 10 years older than me. He's like 57. So I'm always like, are you sure you're okay? Do you have your oxygen bottle? All that kind of stuff. and it's just great. There's such a great brotherhood that the military provides for people.
Yeah, well, utmost respect from us. And then if I ever go under, I'm going to call you and be like, hey, bro, I need someone real good to come put me out.
Yeah. Well, you got homie there. He's got the electric heater burning.
He's going to give me a 30-pack and say, just crush him, bro. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Take 2 of these and then 6 more and call me.
Yeah. That's the only doctor and homie's going to
do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, man. It's pretty good. I love my job. I love what I do. And when it's no fun anymore, then that's when we all go home.
Well, we appreciate it, man. We like to shout out the active duty, and I know that we talked about it a little bit at ATA, and I just think it's important, for people to know that, because it's weird, a lot of people that are in the military, they don't talk about it, right? It's not something that they want attention from. But I think it deserves respect because you guys are putting in all that work for us. So we can move on from that. Right. So your big thing's bow reviews.
Yeah.
So homie's kind of biased on bows. I'm not really biased at all. I like to shoot what I like. And you did a bow review last year, correct?
I did, yes.
What?
Yeah, I was sort of a little busy. So I only had one bow company because I did not get to attend the ATA show the last year.
Oh, man. That's too bad. What bow did you shoot?
So let me see, because I have to look over here. I shot the Elite's, what is it, the Rival?
Ritual.
Or the Ritual, yeah. Yeah, the Rival was the year before. So, I shot the Ritual. And, I actually liked that bow quite a bit.
He's out of his wife's car.
Yeah, I am. I had to go look at the bow, man. I had to go look at the bow. It's actually sitting in my bow vise right now because I was gonna just go out and start plinking around. I shoot all the time, so it's just one of those things. But Yeah, I'm out of the wife's car.
He just got
But now I'm back
47
in the wife's
bows in
car.
a pile.
Yeah, just got
No,
50.
I do. I have to look through all my. I'm like, oh no, it was that one right there. Yeah, no, it was a really really nice shooting bow. One of the things that a lot of people like really go off of is they want all this speed and they want all this, and you have to realize you have to be able to shoot a bow too, right?
Right.
So, some of these speed bows, you go down like PSE's line, the back in the, what was it? The G-Force series. And when they really started this whole crazy hard cam and trying to shoot the bow fast, you lost a lot of the shootability out of it. And so I think a lot of these newer bow companies are coming smooth along those lines. But let's redirect and go back to what you were talking about. So I did shoot a bow last year, and it was the one from Elite.
Nice. And you have a lot more reviews set up this year. You were able to attend ATA. So what is some of the stuff that's coming down the chute for people to be able to see this year?
Well, let's see. I just got, matter of fact, yesterday, I just got the Helix from Hoyt Archery. And I'm pretty excited to see, to shoot that. It's not one of their carbon bows. I've done some of their carbon bows in the past. And I was talking to them and trying to go more along. I want my bow reviews to be for people that are going to buy something that's going to be affordable. Because some of
Like
these
me.
carbon bows are just, yeah. I mean, it's great to shoot one of these carbon bows. I mean, if you've ever had the chance to shoot one of the Hoyt carbons or even the PSE Air I shot a few years ago. Yeah. And they're real smooth, quiet. They weigh nothing.
Yeah, lightweight. Ooh.
They're very lightweight, which to me is important when I'm hiking through the mountains in Colorado. Believe me, I could talk to you here in a few about some of the bows I've had that I'm like, oh my God, I'm carrying this damn thing around. But so I have Hoyt. I've been in contact, of course, with Elite, and Elite's been very good to me ever since. God, they were actually in California when they first sort of started, and I did a lot of reviews for them early on, and I've just sort of been with them throughout. The Prime Series bows, I've talked to them at the show, and he was, pretty excited, the marketing manager there, as far as the last review I've done. And I actually hunted with their bow in Colorado a few years ago. I went to Bear Archery, who they have a new marketing manager. So the guy I always used to work with is no longer there. And, we'll see if it happens. I've talked to him. I've sent him, if you look through all my reviews, there's a trillion Bear Archery bows in there. PSE is going to be on board. I've talked to PSE, and, and there's a company too where I've sort of like constantly like tried to critique them on their draw cycle every year. And and they still send bows. So even if I'm saying something that's not positive in my aspect or my thought, they still rely on my input. And does it mean they changed? Maybe not. But the fact is that they have to, it's a good company where they actually are willing to publish, work I've done for them, even if there's a portion of the product that I don't agree with.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, no, it's good. Trying to think of some other boat companies. Expedition, I talked to them, and when they first started, I actually reviewed 3 or 4 of their bows, and they had contacted me and said, "Hey, we have like 100 customers calling you because they're asking about this certain thing that you talked about on the review." And I'm like, oh, really? There's that many people watching my review?
Yes.
Yeah. And they're like, yeah, we fixed it. We're going to send you a new one. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I did another bow. So they sent like 4 bows in 1 year based on, they fixed the problem that I had with their bow. And, they came out with a great product. And now the company's sort of changed hands since then. So that's the good part about making face-to-face contact at the ATA show is, you can say, hey, yeah, I'm that guy that, sort of started with you when you started, and I gave some good feedback, and it was able to change. And now you guys are going with that new Mako that's shooting 370 feet per second IBO or whatever.
Yeah, homie shot that one at ATA.
Yeah. See, and that's one thing. I never shoot a bow at the ATA show. I want my first review or my first wow or I want my first reaction to be the first reaction you guys see. Not none of this oh man, that's great.
Yeah.
I got the classic. That's one of the things I run into. A lot of the haters on YouTube, that some people will put negative comments and whatever. You can't please everybody.
Shout out to the haters.
Yeah, I mean, a little shout out to haters. But the fact is, and I understand their point to the people that get oh, that bow sucks or this bow. It's because they have ownership. They spent, $1,000 for a bow, $999 plus tax. And then they've spent, $200 for a sight, $150 for a quiver, however many for arrows and whatever else. They've got an ownership into it.
They got a used car right there.
Yeah, it's like hey, I got a Chevy truck. I'm gonna be a Chevy man, and those kind of people, or whatever the case is. Anyway, they have some kind of ownership to where they've spent money, and so they have that commitment to it. Whereas I don't. The bows are sent to me. I get to review them. For a lot of years, and I still do it. But I was involved with the InjuredSoldiers.org after the Iraq War, and I was donating every bow I got to those guys, and they were able to give them to a wounded service member to be able to take out hunting. And then that company it got gobbled up by the Wounded Warrior Foundation. And so what I do now is I find, people that have been in the military or that are in the military, especially being in the military town, knowing a lot of folks, Purple Heart recipients, they all get a free bow from me. So
nice.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I always, of course, I only have a limited supply, so don't start calling and ringing on the phone. But yeah. So I mean, I have a lot of friends, especially in the field that I'm in the medicine field, and I taught a lot of my buddies bow hunt and or shoot archery, and they're in leagues and different things, and they see a guy coming in with a old bear whitetail 2, and they're struggling to pull back 40 pounds because that's just how the cam system used to work in those old bows, and they'll send them over to me, and I'll bring them to my house, set it all up, get their draw length set it up on my bow vise, and they're like, oh, that's sort of cool, that's a nice bow, how much you want for it? I go, there you go. And they walk out the door with a brand new bow in their hand,
That's cool. I
mean, yeah. Well, my wife won't let me keep them all. Otherwise, I'd probably do that. But no, I'm just kidding. No,
at least you're honest, bro. You are an honest individual.
I like to give these back. The last one I gave, I can't even remember what the bow was, a couple years. So I still have the Elite from last year. That's what I'm sort of shooting just until I go through this year's bow and see which one I like the best, because people are like, what bow do you shoot? I'm like, well, whichever one I like to shoot out of my review. I have no brand specific. And so I take and this last guy was a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps, and he had just gotten med boarded out. Because he just couldn't perform his job anymore. He was wounded and he just wasn't able to perform. And he loved bow hunting. And a buddy of mine who worked with him before he got out got him in contact with me. And I met him at the archery one day, at the range one day. And I was like, hey, man, we'll go shooting. You like shooting? And he goes, yeah, I love to shoot bows, And he came out there with this old, I don't even know what the heck the name brand of it was. I think it was an Oneida or one of those crazy looking Oneida bows. They've really gone towards bow fishing, but they used to make a deer hunting bow. And I'd found out sort of what he shoots, his draw length and stuff from my friend, and I set the bow all up, and I went out there with a dozen Victory Armor piercing arrows because they're one of my arrow sponsors, and had it all set up with a Trophy Ridge React sight and Trophy Ridge stabilizer on it. And I'm like, man, check this thing out, try it out. And he drew back shy. He said, wow, that's so smooth. He hadn't had a new bow for 10, 15 years.
Right.
He's like, he goes, what's that set at? I said, set at 70 pounds. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah. I said, it's set at 70 pounds. He's like, no way. He said, try drawing mine. So I draw his back. And I'm like, I was worried. I'm having flashbacks to my bow, my wow moment. And shot it, and I'm like, yeah, boy, it sounds like I'm smacking a steak against a wall at 100 miles an hour. and he goes, "That's a great analogy." And yeah, he turned out to be a really cool dude, and he was a nice guy, and heartfelt, and was depressed. His life was being a Marine, and that's what he'd been doing his whole life, and wasn't sure what he's going to go on forward, and he says, "Man, there'd be no way I could afford something like that." I said, "Well, you can afford it today, right?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" I says, "Well, it's yours." And he was like, "Damn," he almost broke down crying, but yeah, so I just sort of I gave him the bow, and we still talk to this day, man. He's a good dude, and I keep telling him, "Hey, send me a harvest picture with that animal," and he's like, "Well, I have to figure out how to kill something. I suck." I said, "Join the club, brother."
Yeah. But just like you were saying there, shooting bows at ATA, like you're just shooting a bare bow with like some junk ass rest, and that's it.
Right. And the thing is, so when I shoot my bows, the only thing I have on it's a rest and a string loop. And the reason I do that is because all your accessories on a bow, everything that you put on. I mean, yeah, your basic weight of a bow is around 4 pounds. I mean, we can agree on that. That's national. That's the average in the industry. But you start putting stuff on there, you're getting to 9 to 10 pounds on your bow. And all that extra weight actually takes away from the sound and the vibration and the noise that the bow's going to make when it's being shot. So if I get a bow and I'm doing a review on it and I shoot it and it doesn't make any sound, that's a good bow. I mean, that is a dead silent, dead in your hand bow, and there's no hand shock or anything that's being absorbed by anything, no stabilizer. And I like the folks to see that. Now, at the show, all the bows are set up so that, homie can go over there and draw them back. I mean, they're not set at 70 pounds.
Right. I got bony arms.
Yeah, that's right. It's that elbow. It just sort of inverts itself. I don't know how, but no, I mean, they're all short draw lengths. They're all light poundage. You're not going to get the true feel for how the bow really shoots as if you're going to pick up a bow to go hunting with. I mean, like if I pick up my bow, I want it to be 70 pounds. It's going to be 30 inches. I want to know exactly how it feels at my full draw, how it's gonna be released. And I've taken I used to shoot all my bows at 29 inches, and numerous people on my reviews are like, "Hey, you're too short on your draw length." And I took that. I'm like, "Hey, I appreciate the feedback. Let me try a 30 inch." And and I went to 30 inches, and now it's like, ooh, now not only am I able to shoot a longer arrow, which is going to give me a little bit more kinetic energy down range, but I'm also getting more speed from having that extra inch. So, I took the advice from those guys, and I like it. And it's absolutely dead on, spot on for my draw length and everything at 30 inches right on the dot. So
you said before that you had trouble killing things, but you killed the elk on your profile on Facebook. Is that the one that you killed a couple years ago in Colorado?
Yeah, that sure. That was one of those 1 in a million type things, like I said, I elk hunt in Colorado every single year, and I was actually hunting with a Green Beret friend of mine, and we'd been chasing this herd of elk around this mountain for, I want to say, going on our second year. We knew right where they were. They knew, we knew where they were going everywhere, and he had gotten in there and a few days earlier, and then I came up to camp, and we got on. There was a really, really big bull, a huge bull, up on this hill that we were trying to get, and it was getting close towards the end of season. So the end of season is usually the end of September in Colorado, and that's the prime of the rut. I mean, that's when the bulls lose their minds, and you could do anything. You can make noise, you can make mistakes, and you could still probably get a chance of at least seeing a bull or having a bull answer you back and coming in, possibly. And so we'd gone in, and it was sort of funny because we hadn't come to full draw on anything all season. And we'd seen the elk on this hill every morning. So we got in there real early, and we're sneaking down this little bend, and there's a bull to the right of me, and I look, and he's coming out, and he's like at 47 yards. I'm like, oh, perfect, because I could shoot a bow accurately and feel like I can kill something out to 90 yards, if not maybe just a hair further. but I shoot a lot, and I don't rifle hunt. I mean, I can rifle hunt if I wanted to, but I don't get a thrill out of it. I went to scout sniper school way back in the day in the early 90s. And when you're shooting targets at 1,200 meters, and then it's nothing to shoot an animal to me. I mean, but that's my personal, aspect. It won't say I won't hunt with a rifle, but I just like the whole thrill of hunting with the bow. And this elk came out. I drew back. It was colder than hell that morning. I had my gloves on. I drew my bow back. It was a nice 6x6 bull. And just as I settled in to shoot, my finger on my glove was a little longer than my trigger, or than my finger. The glove was a little longer. And I accidentally touched my release, and my arrow sailed right over his back. So my buddy, who's got a little hot temper anyway, but he's a Green Beret, and he was all like, you screwed it up, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, simmer down, Sally. Let's just figure out what we're going to do here. Because, the elk ran off, and sometimes you can get them to come back. They'll come back same area. Well, during that time of the fiasco, we went back to camp. We're sort of talking about what's going on. About 7 guys came up to hunt the weekend for the last weekend, and they just walked right in past us. They camped almost right next to us. And we're like, can you believe this crap? I mean, Colorado has the largest public land in the world. And these guys come up and they pull out ATVs and all this. And we're huffing up the mountain, right? They just take right off down that trail. And we're like, well, screw this. Let's go to this one spot. We packed up our camp. Now, mind you, we had 2 days to hunt left. And we packed up our camp. I said, we're going to scratch this evening. I've got a spot that I've gone to before in the late season. It's in a place where you wouldn't think elk were at all, but I know there's elk there. And if not, we can just sit around, drink beer, and, have a good time. So whatever. and that was the sealed deal. Well, drink beer. Okay, we'll go do that. So we hopped up, packed up camp, went over, set up camp, looked around. There was elk tracks everywhere. And I'm like, all right, so let's just sort of, we'll sit here tonight. We'll chill out. We'll make sure everything's okay. I had my 17-year-old son with me, and it was his first time elk hunting. He was pretty worn out because we'd been hiking him up and down the mountains, and he's like, this ain't my Xbox. And and so we're sitting around we didn't have a campfire or nothing. It was really dry. Just sitting around the lantern, drinking some beers. And all of a sudden, it had just gotten dark. All of a sudden, elk just started bugling everywhere around us. I mean, there was elk behind us. Elk across, we were camped right off this dirt road. There was elk across the dirt road. There was elk to our right, elk to our left. I reached up, I turned off the lantern. We just sat there listening to them. And I'm like, all right, hey, let's go to bed, get up early and try to go figure out where these elk went throughout the night. Wake up in the morning and we get out there and we're just sitting right at the camp. It's just starting to get light. You didn't have to hike far. The elk were close, so we could figure out where they went and maybe try to get in front of them going back to their bedding areas. You locate bugle, and you guys, you'll have to come out elk hunting with me because once you do that, just think of a turkey, but 1,200 pounds. And it's phenomenal, man. When they bugle at you, your hair moves on side. You're hooked. You're hooked. It's just totally awesome.
I'm scared to do it because I want to do it every year.
I know.
Well, that's the key point. Yeah, you will. You will. And I mean, it's such a thing that drives me to go back. But we're sitting there having coffee, heated up some water and got our coffee going. Sitting there drinking coffee. And all of a sudden, right across from us, I mean, just boom, this elk just explodes bugling. And I'm like, oh, crap. I sat down, I opened the door to my camper. I'd had a camper at the time, and I told my son, I says, get out of bed, there's elk here. He goes, I'm not going, just go without me. I'm like, all right, that's all you have to say. I'm not going to sit there and coax, you don't want to do it? Fine, I'm going.
Probably what homie would say.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And so we went, I was with my buddy who's Green Beret and this other guy who'd come out who lived close to where we were hunting. And he was the owner of BinoPack. It's a binocular harness system. His name's Will Goldsmith. Real nice guy. Used to guide and stuff in Utah. And we go across the road. And mind you, we're 60 yards from our camper. You can see it right there. And this elk bugles. And I'm like, stop, freeze. And we froze. And here he comes walking, and I'm like, holy Lord. I mean, this thing he had just antlers going everywhere. And I'm like, okay, let's just let him. We were upwind of him. Everything was groovy. And Will was sort of in the front, a little bit farther up to the right. And the bull started just tearing his tree. And he was maybe 140 yards away. So, definitely too far to shoot. So he started tearing the tree and we started moving. And Will's like just frozen. And I'm like, go. I mean, the damn elk has its eyes closed. It's got its ears back. It's raking a tree. It's not going to hear anything. And so he starts moving. Then he freezes again. And I'm like, just go. What? By this time, he's like 30 yards in front of me. And I just look at him and I go, just go. And he just sort of stares there at me. Well, right when I said that, a bull right behind my camper explodes, bugling at this bull. And so I left him. I turned around and I ran. And I hightailed it back over right past my camper. I'm like, hey, wake up, banging on it as I go by to tell my son to get out of bed. And my buddy, who's the Green Berets, right behind me. And I stopped and I bugled with my call, and both bulls answered. Matter of fact, this bull exploded again, and I'm like, okay, there's two little ridges, which if I threw a rock, I could cross both ridges. It's really only maybe 100 yards. So I just went over one, down the other, and I got up top, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, all right, I think that bull's right down in the bottom there. And then all of a sudden, I heard. It sounded like one of these Primos videos, and I thought it was a darn guy. Just a meow, 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 meow. Like somebody watched a Primos video the night before, and they're out there blowing the stupid hoochie mama call.
Yes.
And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I mean, that was literally, I said it that loud. And my buddy's like, you think it's a guy? I said, it's got to be a guy. I said, watch this. And I pulled out my bugle, and I gave the most guttural, just screaming bugle, picked up a log and started raking a tree, and it just going to town, breaking sticks and bugling. I said, man, we're going to have this guy so excited he doesn't know what's going to go on. and right about that time, I looked down, and here comes out a cow, and she goes, meow, and I'm like, shit. And I was sort of stuck, and then she walks by. I reach down, grab my bow. I walk down the trail, maybe 15 steps, and I get behind a big tree. My buddy's right behind me. I wish he'd had a camera because you can't make this crap up. And that bull comes running out. He's got a tree stuck in his antlers, and he just lets out this bugle, and I have him at 30 steps, and I'm like, oh my God, look at that thing. And I didn't even look at his horns. I just saw he had a freaking, ponderosa hanging in the top of his antlers. And I'm like, holy shit. I pull out an arrow and I get it on, and I did a light bugle, just like nothing really aggressive, because I'm thinking, well, shit, I probably scared this thing off now after that. And that cow that had come by turns and starts coming up the hill towards me. And at that time, I'm like, all right, keep coming. And he looks up and he sees that cow, and he just throws a fit. He comes barreling straight up the hill at me. When he's doing that, I come to full draw behind a tree, and then I sort of step out. And he puts his head underneath that cow, lifts her up off the ground, and throws her back down the hill. And she's like tumbling. And because that's a bull's bugle calls cows to him, sort of like Tom's, And when he did that, I go, hey, just like that. And I mean, I didn't even look at him with my pins. I'm just sitting there, I instinctive shoot a lot. And I'm just like, hey. He looks at me, and I shot that arrow, and it hit him right in the money. And all of a sudden, just this huge 24-inch just explosion of blood goes off the side of him. And he bolts down the hill, and he stops right at the bottom, and I bugle. And he's standing there, and you just see the blood just going out both sides. And then he got the old jello leg, that back leg. Where's the ground? I can't feel it. And then boom, he was done. And I had to sit down because, number one, I'm about, I needed to go get some wipies or something after that one. And I'm like, holy crap. My buddy's like, dude, I cannot believe I had my phone in my hand. I should have recorded that, even on the whatever in the hell he had, iPhone 4. And
hell yes.
and yeah, and that I said, well, let's give him a minute to die. He goes, he's dead right there. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to have a chance of this damn thing getting up and running. You aren't going anywhere. I didn't even know how many points the elk was. I just knew he was legal because his brows come out like 24 inches in front of his head. You know, they were out past his nose. And I just sort of sat there for a few minutes. I'm like, all right, you know, text my wife and tell her I killed this bull. He's like, what's your wife's number? I'm like, I ain't going to tell you. So we'll go ahead along this side. And so we go down. I never found my arrow. Went through them and just kept going somewhere, you know. And but there was blood all over the place. And, you know, I see the elk from where I was. But I always, even if I see the elk fall, I still like to try to follow a blood trail. Because, one, it keeps me, you know, on track of, hey, you know, how many times have you been out there hunting and you go, man, I lost blood. Mm-hmm. And you sort of get really disheartened and you're like, God dang it. But if you just go a little farther or you circle, you can find it. Even if I see the animal die, I still like to follow that blood. And so, you know, long story short, got to the elk. I'm like, crap, man, I wonder if Will killed that bull. And I'm like, why don't you run back up and get Tristan, you know, my son, get Tristan, tell him come down because he's got a lot of packing to do because I'm old and I'm not doing it. You know, and it was all joking, but we were actually only 140 yards from my camper when I shot this bull.
Wow.
Yeah. And, you know, after we were all done and my son finally got his butt out of bed, he had said that he heard all the bugling and finally got up, got dressed, went out in his underwear, and there was the elk in the camp, walking through the camp. And he had his bow standing there in his grundies. And he says he was about 70 yards, and I don't even trust myself over 20 yards, so I just let him go. And I'm like, yeah, sure he was. He was probably at 5 feet laughing at you standing there in your underwear. But yeah, no, so that was a big, and it ended up being a beautiful 6x6 bull. And the bow I shot that with was from Athens Archery, and I sent it to the manufacturer, and he actually, or the picture of it, and he sent me, he called me up and he's like, you know what, it speaks volumes for somebody in your line of being able to review all the bows that you have out there, that you have access to see a trophy animal with our product in it, that's getting blown up to, you know, whatever, and it's going right over the top of our whatever the case is in their main headquarters. So
nice.
Yeah, if you're ever in Indiana and you stop by Athens Archery, you'll see a picture of it.
Oh man, otherwise the elk would be nice to see your face. I mean, maybe I can Photoshop my face on there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you might be able to. I know I can do. I'm pretty.
You've seen Homie's Photoshop skills.
Yeah.
Real nice.
I've seen his editing skills too, but that's okay. We ain't gonna talk about that.
We should have got him on Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have.
We'll get you a link sent out. We'll get you a link sent out. See what you think.
Yeah. No, I definitely want to see it. I saw some of the preview of your work in progress. So I'm interested to see what it all came out to be, man.
Mm-hmm. All right, man. Well, we won't take any more of your time. Let the people know where they can find you.
Okay. Well, they can go to either outdoorproductreview.com, but I find that the majority of traffic now is with social media. So I'm on Instagram, at Outdoor Product Review, on Twitter, at Bow Review.
I don't follow you on Twitter, bro, but I'm going to do that right now.
I know, right? At Bow Review, real simple. Then you can go to, of course, my Facebook page. You just type in Outdoor Products Review. I think it's products or product reviews, whatever the case is, and it'll get there. If not, I'm sure that Homie and all those guys will be able to put a link up to it. And then, of course, YouTube, just type in Outdoor Product Review. You'll be able to see some of the reviews I've done. I've done some crossbows that have got upwards of almost 800,000 views. So, and I have some good tips and tricks on there as well. How to tie in a peep sight, how to set up a rest. QAD is one of my sponsors, so I go through the whole aspect of sometimes you need like an engineering degree to set up some things on archery equipment nowadays. And I just sort of go through a step-by-step process. I mean, hell, I'm no auto mechanic, but I tell you what, YouTube's been my best friend with my wife's old piece of crap car she had before we traded it in.
YouTube's bailed me out quite a few times doing this podcast.
Yeah, I'm
and
telling you.
editing and.
I'm gonna start a podcast, and I'm gonna watch how to do it on YouTube.
I would say you don't want to watch us do it.
Yeah. Don't take any tips from us. We have nothing on YouTube about podcasting or how to do it.
I'll tell you what though, man. I mean, I like it's from day one when we met. It's great, and look forward to a great long relationship, and definitely. I need to get you guys out hunting, man. I mean, something else besides whitetails. I hunted whitetails in Camp Lejeune for 20 or 18 years at least, and I'd kill so many deer out there. And I love whitetail hunting, but there is nothing like hunting out west, man. And you get out and these bulls are screaming. You guys will be pulling up chalks trying to move to Colorado.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's what I'm scared of. But we'll probably take you up on that.
I was going to say, we're looking for something other than whitetails to hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love whitetail hunting too. But, I don't know what it is, man. It's something about Western hunting that just that, some of your podcasts you were talking about, it's the whole aspect of, bedding areas and following the food sources and doing this for late season, this and this. There's no stand. I mean, there's people that hunt elk out of tree stands in Colorado. I run and gun, man, just like I'm hunting turkeys.
That's the only way I'd want to do it.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I hear them bugling, and boom, I take off. I get the wind right. I get in there, and I get in close, doing some cow calling if they still bugling. And when you hear them breaking sticks that are as big as your leg coming through the timber, and spit drooling off them, and you can hear them breathing, that's when, that's the instant chubby when it comes to hunting, man. I mean, you get hooked. And you'll want to do it every year.
I'll go elk hunting, but mule deer hunting with you, I'm going to have to pass, bro. I've seen your videos.
hey, now. Yeah, no, are you talking about Slim Shady? And his hunting one? Yeah. Hunting with Sans Bubba?
Yeah.
I ain't seen a deer in 15 years. Or whatever. Yeah. Look at all them big old mule deer.
Yeah, there's just 170s walking behind you. Yeah, right. There's no mule deer out here. No sign.
This place sucks. Yeah. Yeah, well, see, that's my video I post for out-of-staters when I don't want them taking over all the public land.
Yeah, that's good.
We'd have a lot of fun though, man. I don't know how much hunting we get done. We'd be all freaking 2 sheets to the wind and bullshitting the whole time laughing.
Right?
Yeah. But hey, let's make a funny video. I bet you we'll do that.
We can do that in a second. Wait till you will see us hunt turkeys.
Yeah. Epic turkey footage coming out. Yeah. It's going to be some next level tactics.
Well, and that's something I love. I sent you guys that video of I shot that turkey at 50 yards with my bow down in Texas on some television show it's not even on. They invited me out. They were invited military members to hunt with them, and I was lucky enough to go do that. And one of the things from that I learned is that when the host says, well, too bad he's at 50 yards, and I said, well, what are you talking about? He's only at 50 yards. And the host goes, how many times I heard that? Well, the camera's rolling, and I'm like, sounds good to me. Drew back, boom, and I center punched him, and the guy says, shut my mouth. And I said, he's dead right there. So, yeah, I actually shot that turkey with an Atom, as a matter of fact, from Old Max.
Nice.
That was one of the first ones, yeah.
Nice.
Good times, man. But, yeah, guys, I appreciate you having me on. Like I said, I'll be sending you reviews once I get them done and edited, and if you want to share them. If not, I'll definitely share your guys' stuff on my page, and
we'll hit you with the share. We'll show you some love, as long as it's good. I want the first word to be like half a wow.
yeah. I'm gonna give that one a wow. We'll say that's a wow. Now, if I say it's a full wow, then you know it sucks.
Kind of reverse psychology right there.
Yeah. That's right. That's how I say, wow, yeah. Wink, wink. No.
All right, man. We appreciate you coming on. It's been a blast, like always, hanging out with you. If anything, we'll get to see you at ATA next year, so we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, guys. And like I said, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Being what you're good at, and just honest, and have a blast doing it, man. That's all you can do.
Yeah, that's what we try to do. We try to have as much fun and show people that you don't have to be a genius to kill deer. Because
Right.
we're not there yet.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. That is a fact. Believe me, I met you guys. I know that.
Savage.
There's that honest,
Yeah.
unbiased opinion right there.
All right, man. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you later.
All right, fellas. You guys have a good time.
See you, man.
Bye. Wow.
Wow.
That's a 0.
Yeah. Nobody's listening at this point, so probably just, close her up right now.
All right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed Outdoor Product Review. He's going to be at ATA with the show with us. Hopefully we can do another podcast there with him. Just a fun group one.
We'll be set up.
Yeah. That would be a lot of fun.
That would
Even
be.
if it's in the hotel or something. Just
Yeah.
having a good time. But this isn't the last you heard of him. He's coming back. Check out his reviews on his boats. He is legit. We give him a hard time. We crack jokes, but that's just because we're close and we respect him a lot. So check him out, outdoorproductreview.com or Outdoor Product Review on YouTube. Get out there. Try a new bow out at your pro shop.
For sure.
Try to leave a legacy, and Whitetail Legacy's out.